Welcome back. President Biden has issued an executive order on the southern border imposing restrictions on migrants seeking asylum, while the administration has quietly granted mass amnesty to millions who came here illegally. All of this coming as we sit exactly 5 months from Election Day. The timing is interesting. This also comes after his administration has been pointing fingers for months at House Republicans for failing to secure the border, while continuously claiming Biden has already done all he can to fix the crisis. Take a listen.
The bottom line is the best way to have moved forward on dealing with immigration, dealing with the border challenges that we're seeing, was for Republicans to have gotten out of the way, not let the former president tell them what to do. No executive action is actually going to do what that border security plan would have done. We're always looking at potential actions that we can take, but we are going to continue to push Congress to move on this.
For more on this, I want to welcome in Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
So you've been on with me before and called the border a crisis of Biden's own creation. What's your reaction to the president taking executive action now, 5 months before the election?
So in the first days of his presidency, he took 94 executive actions to open the border up, and now he's taking one executive action to try to slow down the crisis that he has created a few months before the election. The American people have been talking about this for years now, and it's amazing that the president has just now figured out that this is apparently a big issue. So it is frustrating, to say the least. There are executive actions he could take right now and could have taken 3 years ago to be able to dramatically slow this down. But he's chosen not to do it. And now we don't even know if this one's going to work, how long it will take to unfold, what it will mean, and how many they'll actually implement this on.
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions there. So the New York Times says that Trump's harder line on immigration appears to resonate. And opened in a Gallup poll released on April 30th, found that for the third straight month, almost all Americans cited immigration as the most important problem facing the United States. That was the longest stretch in the survey's 24-year history. Is the Biden administration noticing these polls, hence the executive action Hail Mary in the 11th hour?
Yeah, they've definitely noticed the polls. Obviously, everything's related to politics at this point, in whatever is happening around the presidency. They're trying to be able to focus in on a particular thing. This is a crisis we couldn't have done anything about, except the American people know they created this crisis. If you go back to time under President Trump, we had very low numbers of people crossing the exact same law. You had, even go back to President Obama, if you want to go back to that time period, you had 500,000 people that were illegally crossing a year, exact same law. Now we have 2.5 million people crossing a year. Everybody knows that there's a huge difference here on how this administration has handled the exact same law under President Trump and under President Obama. They have created this crisis, and now they're trying to say they can't solve it without congressional action. There's a lot that they can do. There is more that should be done by Congress. We can't ignore this problem as well. But the White House clearly has created this, not just ignored it.
Yeah, and he did not waste any time blaming Republicans for their lack of action at the border while taking full credit for, quote, fixing it. Take a look.
Today, I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border. Frankly, I would have preferred to address this issue through bipartisan legislation, because that's the only way to actually get the kind of system we have now that's broken fixed, to hire more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more judges. But Republicans have left me no choice.
Is this just a temporary fix, though? Does this new executive action really do anything?
We don't know if it's going to do anything yet. The first thing that I think will happen is a court will enjoin this, will take a look at it, and in all likelihood will set it aside and say that he doesn't have the authority to do, in particular, what he's trying to be able to do at this point. But right behind that is there are things that he could do to make a dramatic change that the court has already ruled on in the past. For instance, Biden created the parole authorities that are letting Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans come in very high number. He created that. He can turn that off immediately. He created the CBP One app and the authority there. That's 1,600 people a day that he could just turn off immediately. He turned that on. He could turn that off. He could do Remain in Mexico. He could step up the recalcitrant countries through the State Department. He could change what happened with the Department of Justice. If you come a second time across the border, that's a felony, and they actually get prosecuted. All of those things don't cost any money. Those are things that he could do today that would make a dramatic difference. He's choosing not to do those. He's choosing to make an executive order and to go get challenged in the court where he believes it will lose. And so he can just say, hey, I tried. There's nothing we can do, when all of us know there are things that he could do. He's choosing not to.
And again, doing this one executive order 5 months before Election Day. All right, Senator James Lankford, thanks so much. Appreciate your time this morning.
You bet. Good to see you again.
You too.